So I'm going to go through very quickly behind the scenes so you can start to see just what's going on around the back end. So if I RDP now onto my server, I've got Hyper-V enabled, and if anyone's questioning, can you run this all on one box? I want to test it, I want to play with it, I want to see what it looks like, I want to tweak it and fiddle with it. Okay, fine. One Hyper-V box is all you need. You can get going very, very quickly, and I'll show you how in a few minutes. But what I've got on my platform, I've got RDS Web, so that was providing the web portal. That's actually also providing another role. It's actually a session host as well, but in redirected mode. And that's specific to the VDI environment. It just helps the process along. It's important in that, but we don't need to pull that out. It just needs to be there. But then I've got my broker. If I go into my broker, if I minimize that so we can see, so this is virtualized, running on Hyper-V, not particularly large amount of RAM in this case, but then my box is quite limited. If you want to make this role, this broker, highly available, then you can do that. So there's a clustering element to it. But what you'll notice is I've got an RD virtualization host server. So that's just the name of my Hyper-V box. Pop it in there, great. If I've got more, bang them all in, fine. One question is, do I cluster my Hyper-V hosts if I'm doing virtual desktops? That's the decision you'd have to make. If you want to cluster Hyper-V hosts, the number of supported guest operating systems, or VMs on a particular host, drops from 384 to 64. So we support 64 VMs on a clustered host. Then you say, okay, well, 64 is plenty for me, but that doesn't answer the question. Do I need clustered Hyper-V hosts to host my virtual desktops? If one host fails, all these virtual desktops are going to automatically restart somewhere else. Yeah, that's one argument, and if you're using persistent desktops, you'd probably want that to happen, although the user wouldn't be able to log in until their VM is rebooted somewhere else. But then if you're using pooled virtual desktops, you think, well, if that host goes down, user will get disconnected, broker will say, okay, let's get you, Mr. User, we'll give you another virtual desktop. Profile, apps, carry on working. Obviously, what they were working on at that time will probably be lost. It's not magic, but we'll get there. So that's our virtualization host. And that could be a Hyper-V server, so the free download, or it could be Windows Server with Hyper-V. But then we've got this choice between personal virtual desktops and our pools. Now, our personal virtual desktops, if I want to create and configure a personal desktop, I literally click OK, select a user in Active Directory, Matt, Andrew, whoever, select the virtual desktop I want to give to them, next, finish. And they're going to have that every time, and it will appear in their portal as My Desktop. Whenever they log in, it will say My Desktop. Simple stuff. It becomes part of their Active Directory object. Okay, so if you go in AD and you go into Member, you go into the user and you click on somebody's account and you see their properties, you'll see Virtual Desktop is listed there. Okay, so there may be, for some people, an update to Active Directory required. Okay, something to be aware of. But it's that easy to assign somebody a personal virtual desktop. A pool is equally simple, and this can all be scripted. There's loads of stuff on the script center of PowerShell if anyone would classify themselves as a bit of a guru, not me. But if I want to create a virtual desktop pool, right-click. I don't need to click Help in this instance. I can configure Create Virtual Desktop Pool. I add the virtual desktops to the pool from a list. I could have just built them in Virtual Machine Manager, done whatever I wanted to do. Next, finish, and then they're going to be available through that web portal. Very, very easy and straightforward. If we're wondering where I got those icons for Snip Tool and Paint and Calculator that appeared in the web portal earlier on, then that's because I'm also pointing the broker at a session-based compute, a remote app source, as it's also known in this instance. So you'll see, and that could be a farm of session-based servers, RDS servers, terminal servers, too many terms. It could be a farm, it could be individuals, whichever you prefer. Either way, I'm centralizing it with the broker and then connecting the web portal to the broker. One nice feature, particularly if you're running Windows 7 as your client, if I pop out of here for a second, so multiple RDPs, there we go. So I'm back on my laptop here with another crazy wallpaper. You'll notice this config file on my desktop. You say, what's that all about? I generate that on the broker. So if I was back in the broker now, I could right-click, create config file. And what that enables me to do when I double-click it, and I've already done it in advance, so it made sure it worked, specify the connection. That is our web portal address, okay? Or at least a feed off that web portal. And what that means is, instead of me having to go as a user from this Windows 7 laptop manually to the web portal, even if it is one of my favorites, fine. Instead of me having to manually go there and log in, by incorporating this config file, and I can do it manually if I want, it actually pops up in my start menu, remote app and desktop connection. So I can just launch it all from there. Search on it, do what I need to do, just interacts as I would do with a local experience. This is Windows 7 specific. If you want to achieve something similar with previous versions of the client, then you can do it with group policy, and there are a couple of other ways of doing it. That'll mention how you can figure that out later. But either way, very, very simple and straightforward. And just means that the experience of the user is that little bit more streamlined. If I launch from App Central now, my Windows 7 desktop, again, I'm getting the 64-bit, doesn't matter. There's the error glass kicked in. Just check my sounds on. Have I got sound from my laptop? There we go. Just so you can start to see the user experience. So apologies, there's a bit of a hiss going on. And launch a few applications. I'm launching this one. It's a CAD application actually. Oh, I'm not going to register now. Oh no, register later. There we go. I just sequenced this the other day. Sequencing is the term given to packaging an application. Let's launch this up. We start to interact. Now I'm no CAD expert. I don't even know what that is. But I'll admit. But what you're seeing now is remember this is a virtual desktop. I'm connected to it over a remote desktop protocol version 7. Admittedly, between my server, Exhibit A, and my laptop, there's only one cable. So there's not much contention on this network. But you test this. You test it in your relevant infrastructure to get the idea of the user experience of what you can expect. Let me close that out. And let me launch some of the other stuff. So bidirectional audio is in there. If I had a microphone headset, Britney Spears style, I could be talking and potentially using things like VoIP. But I can also be interacting with things like video. That sounds a bit wrong, but there you go. So what I'm going to play now is a 1080p HD video. I'm sure you've seen it. What you'll notice is there's no jerkiness, admittedly it's not particularly moving it much. But this is playing from the virtual desktop over RDP, and the clever bit is RDP 7 is doing remote rendering. So it's using...
Come back for more, Ian.
Yep, let's do it.
It's using the graphical power in my local laptop here, which is why I can go to Task Manager, still in the virtual desktop, look at performance and see the CPU demand on this particular virtual desktop is very, very low. Practically nothing, because the rendering is being done on my laptop. And that same applies for session-based computing. Everyone is entranced with Project Natal, so I'm going to turn it on. But there you go, you get the idea. Rich user experience, whether it's video, whether it's multimedia, whether it's CAD. I'm not saying that will be the same experience over the WAN. Absolutely not. But that's where your testing will come in. And some great white papers just been published that talk about the different capabilities as you enable things, how much bandwidth they start to use, and that will help you start to tweak stuff accordingly.